Right, hello everyone, last and definitely least. My name's Dave, I'm a lecturer in computer science at Queen's University, but my talk today has nothing to do with my day job, but if I put this logo up it means it counts as my job, and it's engaging with the community. Before I move on, just quickly a couple of things is I am new to Belfast, you might guess by my accent, and I am very keen to look for opportunities to collaborate and work with people in the tech community, be that projects you want interesting students put on, you've seen one of our very good students just now, or other things. So my contact details are on here. If you want to have a chat, come down to the building, I'll buy you a coffee and we'll go. One of the other things, and this is just because I was doing a PowerPoint, I'm going to do it, for the last 3 weeks we've been putting balloons into space from Belfast as part of the Queen's into Space programme, and we bring back beautiful pictures like this that then look terrible on VGA projectors. But that's the good side of academia. But what I want to talk to you today about is I want to tell you a little story, and this is the only other slide I've got, so I'm just going to talk to you around this, about my experience with free open source software, developing it, and why you should all FOSS it whenever totally possible. So if you cast your minds back to the mid-noughties, at the time I was heavily involved in what we like to call the least profitable web hosting company in the world, had been for a number of years, and we had a variety of servers, dedicated colo, sitting in the UK, Europe and America, doing different jobs, and on top of that we had a massive load of monitoring scripts that ran, and these were a hodgepodge of terrible things that I had written over the years, bash scripts, C scripts, you name it, basically to tell us when something had failed. And they would do stuff like genuinely dial an analog modem to dial a number into a pager that would flash on my belt. Then they would later on send SMS messages, and then even later still, when we had smartphones, they would send us emails and things like that. But around this time, sort of 2005, the overhead of maintaining the monitoring was more than the overhead of maintaining the infrastructure that it was monitoring itself. So I came up with the idea about, wouldn't it be good to kind of unify this stuff together? Around that time as well, my day job changed, and I went to work for local government, which I did for a lot of years, which is a terrible soul-destroying experience, and I'm very glad I escaped. But one of the things they had there is they had a monitoring system they paid a lot of money for that was a physical appliance, a thing you could go and touch in the data center, and it was terrible. I'm not going to use the name, but they paid a fortune for this, and it was awful. And so I kind of thought, wouldn't it be a good idea to put our monitoring system together, into a unified platform? And I reckon that would be better than this commercial bit of kit that my organisation was paying for. Now, up until then, I had done some free open source development. I used to release libraries, really specific things that one guy called Gunter in Sweden would use and send me long rambling emails about at 3 o'clock in the morning. But really, really specific use cases like a ConnectStat 28K software modem stack on Red Hat 3, these kind of things, right? So I thought, well, I could try this and I could actually release this, right? I could build it, if you build it, they will come. And right from the get-go, I'll aim it that I'm going to give it away. I'm going to release it. I'm going to call it free. Network Automatic Testing System. I'm going to put free in front of it, FreeNAT. I'm going to release it to the world. Now, the other thing that was fairly new at the time was virtualization, right? Now, the technology wasn't new, but the adoption of it was, in that I could, for no money, virtualize at home because VMware gave away VMware Server to try and get people into the technology. So I had the opportunity not only to develop something, but also to release it in a fully packaged way. So I'm not worrying about installation software. I'm not having to talk to other programmers. I'm now all of a sudden able to release it to sysadmins, right? Weird sysadmin people like me, and I could release this software to them. So 2008, I finally actually written something. I get around to releasing it. Weekends, I'm at home doing it. My colleagues think I'm mad. My partner thinks I'm mad. Everyone thinks I'm mad. But I release it. I write this thing. I'm reasonably happy with it, and I release it on the VMware marketplace, and off I go. Over the weekend, I get a very worried phone call from my partner in my hosting business telling me that the bandwidth alert has gone off on our US mirror, right? Because at the time, back in the mid-90s, noughties, we had mirrors. We used to mirror stuff. No CDNs. We used to have our own servers. And the bandwidth alert had gone off, so we immediately thought we'd been hacked again. We're going to have to lie to our ISP again, get control back again. But it wasn't. It was that the 300 meg VM download had been downloaded hundreds of times and had triggered the bandwidth alert. And I thought, oh, this is interesting. Someone's actually using the software. Now, the second thing that happened is that week is my email started going, because for the first time as well, not only had I released this thing, but I'd done a little website. It was terrible, right? And I'd put my email address on. I'd done this. My email started going ping, 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 ping. And it wasn't Gunter in Sweden with a long, rambling 3-page thing about how my C headers are in the wrong thing. It was people all over the world who had downloaded this thing and were running it and had found bugs. Okay, so my first message, right, and this is the key thing, the thing I took out of this, I released this bit of software that I wanted to use myself, and I suddenly had hundreds of users testing it without knowing they were testing it. We went from having 3 installations of it running on our servers to 300 live installations which were feeding us data back, running in service environments that we couldn't mimic and we couldn't do. So I was getting bug reports back for things that I'd never tested. And often these came with you need to change this on line 6, thanks very much. And we would do it. So that was the bug thing. The second thing, and this was the bit I didn't really foresee, was that the emails then started coming in from people who were using it and they were saying, this is great, but couldn't it do this? And they were usually, wow, that's a really good idea. These weren't programmers, these weren't people sending me code, these were people telling me, I use this in this environment, wouldn't it be a good idea if it also did this? Wouldn't it be a good idea if it alerted this way or did that? And this led to one of the great loves of my life, which is writing extensible software, in that I wrote an architecture that allowed you to write your own tests, to plug it in, to write your own alert actions, plug it in, and this was all cool. But this was all stuff that I had never thought of until I released it, until I gave it to the general community, and they broke it and they used it, and I used their knowledge and leveraged on what went on. So the features increased, we used it a lot, it went out and was quite public. And the other thing that happened was that bits of it, because it kind of got a life of its own, other bits of it became useful and got spin off. So we have 2 other libraries. We have the PHP ping library, which is a low-level ICMP implementation in PHP. I know who would ever do that, right? Used by 3 people around the world, one of which is my project. The second one, which is more widely used, I wouldn't say widely, but more widely used in the ping library, is PHP DNS. It's a low-level DNS query. It lets you, in a PHP script, do a direct UDP or TCP query to a DNS server and understand the things. These were spin-off projects that have now had lives of their own. And because, again, I put the same ethos to them, I thought, right, if I'm going to spin them off, I'm going to release them, I'm going to GPL them, I'm going to put them out there, I'm going to put them on GitHub. I get merge requests for. I get very clever people far cleverer than me, coming along going, Dave, I see what you're trying to do, but you're clearly an idiot. I have fixed it for you. I have made it PSR2 compliant. What even is that? I have made it work with Composer. You need to type this and it will work, thanks very much. And so the core thing that came in from there was that I get the benefits. And this is my message. This is what I would encourage you to do, is that if you are thinking of writing a bit of software, and for many years, I always assumed I would make millions. You know, I'd write a bit of software and it'd be so good, people would buy it, right? I've now reached the accomplishment that's never going to happen. If you're writing a bit of software and you don't intend to sell it, give it away. If you're writing a bit of software and you think, I think this might be useful to someone else, give it away. The sheer act of forcing yourself to introspect on it and package it and release it makes it better, because you're embarrassed to release terrible code, or certainly I am anyway. Once you've released it, the buzz you get when people come back and use it, I have software that people have to use because it's their jobs. That doesn't excite me at all. What I like is that somebody in Denmark has downloaded my code and they like it. It's an incredible buzz that you get at the end of the day. And what it means is that I get direct benefit from that. I not only feel good at night because people are using my software, but more importantly, every single day I use this software stack and I use features of this software stack I did not invent, I didn't come up with. They were suggested by other people, they were brilliant ideas, and I leveraged the knowledge of the community to make the software better, and that gives me the benefit. And that is why I would encourage you all, give it away for free, let other people use it, and see what happens. And that's my message. Thank you very much.